For years, people have been complaining about how Bobby Mtaung is not running the club well and all of those things. Enter Kaizer Mtaung Jr. He comes in and then people are like, yeah, it's a new era. He's signing players. He's giving a South African coach a chance. And basically, it's just a positive feeling around Kaizer Chiefs fan base. And then things don't go well under Kaizer Mtaung Jr. And now people are saying, no, Bobby Mtaung was better. And this is not just one thing that is basically an isolated incident, but you also look at other situations. Take, for example, Itumeleng Khune. A lot of people were talking about how Itumeleng Khune, with every game that he played before the suspension, most of the games that he was playing in, I think there was a time where he played 7 games in a season. I think that was last season. And then in every game that he played, he was conceding goals. And then people started saying, hey, Khune concedes every time. And then Peterson started being the goalkeeper. People were like, we miss Khune. Peterson sucks, he's making so many mistakes. And then he was replaced by Uprosip Vuma. He had 7 clean sheets and everything was good until he started conceding those goals again. But those goals were not even like entirely his fault. And then people started saying, bring back Peterson. You see what I'm talking about here? There seems to be a short-term memory loss when it comes to us Kaizer Chiefs fans, because we look at the situation that we're in now and then we say, why ngcono Usman Ban? Even the fan base, like maybe 70, 80, 90% of the fan base were saying Zwane must go. But now you are also hearing people saying Zwane must come back because he was better than Johnson, should have never been sacked. I'm like, guys, we need to be able to stick with our decisions. You see, right now, I will say this. When Kevin Johnson was first appointed, I said this to you guys. You'll remember this. I said that, okay, maybe they're choosing him because of the experience. They're choosing him because he worked with Pitso Msimane. But I do not want him to be permanent coach because I wanted someone in the club to be true to their word and say, you know what, we are going to stick with this coach that we want to pick, but keep Johnson in the meantime. That was my thing. I am now not going to say they should have never appointed him. No, I was okay with them appointing him. And I feel like if we're going to also blame the club for changing decisions, or what's the word, for not making the right decisions or changing every time, then we also need to be able to say, you know what, we stick with our own decisions as well. We stick with the things that we're saying, because if you're going to judge someone for having a lock in their eye, you should also be able to remove yours first and say, ish, naming petile, I was wrong about so and so. Like I will say this, Suguti, with Uzwane, for example, there are a lot of things that I said about him, hoping that he would do well. And there are a lot of things that when he started not to do well, I was critical of him. For example, why are you nursing some players' feelings, but you are not nursing other players' feelings? So in a way, to me, I always want consistency, because I feel like that's the thing that will make the management not take us seriously. Because if they look at the fan base always changing, it's easy for Bobby to say the fans are emotional, because he knows that when the team wins, we say we're Real Madrid. When the team lose, we're headed for relegation. So it's like we're not people who are objective in how we analyze things. We end up just being subject to our feelings. Today we're happy. Forget the fact that we missed 7 other chances. Forget the fact that the goal that we scored in that game was a deflection, was a deflected corner, that was a mistake by the other team. Forget that we played nonsense football for 90 minutes. What matters at this moment is that we won, and then we neglect all the red flags that we would have seen in that game. And because of that, those red flags then come back to bite us in the following game. And then all of a sudden we start saying, yeah, Vele, this coach sucks. See, why did he make late subs? While he made the late subs, even in the game that we had won by that lucky goal, there was a deflection. So for the management to be forced to do anything, we must also be like, have one voice and say, okay, Kevin Johnson, keep him until the end of the season, but we want a new coach next season. But now, kunabanya bati Buisano Zwane, kunabanya bati Kevin Johnson needs time. It's the players who are paid. And I understand and I respect the fact that people have different opinions. It's okay. I'm just saying that we all need to own up to our own decisions, because one of the other things that I'm noticing with our own management is the fact that they are not really necessarily owning up to their decisions. They keep on finding ways of just ducking questions or being accountable to us. And that's also just a sign Yoguti. We are not really respected much at Naturena. But I also just want to say, side note, please like the video. You didn't see that coming, eh? Also, the reason why I'm making the video today, the 25th of April, instead of doing a live stream, is because I am live on channel. Well, I'm not live, but I will be on channel 163 at 7 p.m. Today, if you're watching it today, before 7 p.m. So please go check that out. It's exciting. I'm very happy. But what do you think, why do you think Kaizer Chiefs fans, despite that people are allowed to obviously have opinions, but why do you think Kaizer Chiefs fans have this mentality, especially when it comes to the management situation? Because a lot of people tell you that Upobim Taung was won some things, right, for Kaizer Chiefs when he was in that position of sporting director. And my counter argument to that is always the fact that, okay, he won a lot, right? Not a lot, but he won things for Kaizer Chiefs as a sporting director. But the question is, where was the competition, right? Because right now, the team that is beating us is not Sundowns. The team that is beating us is not Pirates. We are behind SuperSport. We are behind Cape Town City. We are behind Stellenbosch. Even at this point, Abo Sikukun are getting a shout of being ahead of us. You look at how many finals or semi-finals Abo Sikukun are carrying themselves. Abo TS Galaxy are trying to also climb up. The competition back in the 2014s, 13, 12 was not as much as it is right now. So for people to say they compare the era of Bobim Taung where things were kind of easier for Chiefs than they are right now, I feel like it's not fair. If we're going to compare Bobim Taung, we should be comparing him to Kaizer Taung Jr. with what is happening now, because we saw that as competition went up, Bobim Taung started struggling because he was no longer carrying away with every player wants to come to Chiefs, because Sundowns were starting to be dominant, and now other players were actively saying, you know what, I'm going to go and play for Sundowns even though Kaizer Chiefs wants me. I'm going to go and pick, even I think Ethan Brooks, he picked Amazulu because Kaizer Chiefs I think ended up not going for him, or there were talks, they approached him, something like that. But you see, Uguti, now players have options. They might not be paying them as much as Chiefs, but players now see that they have other options and other teams are getting better. Amazulu, iloke sponsor show Spa, and a singing sponsor Sekit, and Amayama sponsors. Other teams now are getting sponsors, and as much as there's still a huge gap between Kaizer Chiefs and other teams, but that gap, even though it's maybe 2, 3, 5 or 10% of increase or closing that gap, it's still there. The gap is still being closed gradually, and if we don't wake up and smell the coffee, that gap will end up being closed and players won't want to come to Chiefs. Because why would Ethan Brooks, or not Ethan Brooks, why would Fawaz Basatin want to leave Stellenbosch where he's playing football that is enjoying, and then let's say Obo Rupert invest more money into Stellenbosch, and then now players can get more money? Why would he then leave Stellenbosch, a team that is competing, a team who is playing very well with people who understand what they're doing, a team that is well managed, leave it for Kaizer Chiefs, especially with how much status we're losing, especially with how many games we're losing? Because at the same time, you might be playing for Kaizer Chiefs, but as much as these players are carrying a lot of money, at the same time, they're still human beings, and nobody wants to lose. You're not going to say, doesn't matter that I lose, I'm going to have 120,000 in my bank account by the end of the month. That's not how it works. They want to win, and the longer we stay in the state of being arrogant, which is what we've had Upobi do, and we've had rumors about him, Guti, he's arrogant and he thinks that players should be coming to Kaizer Chiefs. I just think that that time is over and the mentality has to shift, because if it doesn't shift, then we will be in huge trouble. But what do you think? Do you think that Kaizer Chiefs are still that team that everyone wants to come to? Of course, part of me says yes, because they're still this big. But also, what do you think about what I was saying? Guti, our mentality as fans changes so much. And do you think that and the division among ourselves as a fan base is causing the management to actually not take us seriously? Let me know down on the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals Alpelumoya.